Hi guys, welcome back to episode 2 of Learn Java. Today we're going to actually look at our first bit of code, and this is basically just starting from scratch. So anyone who's never done Java before, this is a good place to start because this is what we're going to be doing, and we're going to be creating a hello world document. Anyone else who has coded before, maybe not in Java but maybe in other languages like C++ and stuff like that, you will know that hello world is traditionally the first thing that you do. So we're going to get straight on with it, and I'm going to show you how to set up your work environment as well. So last episode we did set up Eclipse to work with our workspace, and we did the Java JDK. This episode we're actually going to be creating a project. In that project we're going to be creating a package and also a class file inside of that. So the first thing what we want to do is we want to go up here to project. File, we want to go new, and we want to go on Java project. In this we're just going to call it tutorial, and click OK, and then we have this file here. Now we have the JRE system library, which is a few resource files, and then we also have a source file with tutorial and a main class inside of that. Now, the reason I have a tutorial and main class inside of this is because I was playing around with this a little bit earlier. You will only have the source file. So, the next thing to do is inside this source, click on this source file. We want to right click on that and click new and go to package. And we want to make a package, and we're going to call this tutorial. Now, this is what stores all of our class files, which then store all of our language basically. So we can save this in our tutorial source file in our project and click finish. We don't want this to be ticked, and here we have an empty package with nothing inside of it. Now this currently means basically nothing at all, but when we create a class it does actually mean a few things for us. So we can right click this and we need to click class, and this is what our class is going to be called. So I'm going to call this tutorial class. In fact, we'll just call it tutorial because it's going to be called tutorial.class or .java actually. So inside this is basically where we store all of our code. We can see the class file is here, and this is created our first Java file. Now inside here we can see clearly that this has package tutorial followed by a semicolon, which is traditionally what we use to keep a structure in Java programming. And then on the next line we have public class tutorial. Now this can be changed depending on what you're doing. You can have this to extend something or anything like that really. So what we're going to head on into straight away is inside our class. So this is our class here, inside this squiggly bracket as I like to call them. We want to create a new line, and on this new line we're going to start writing our code. Now a few things I'm going to go through first is public, first of all, means that anyone can access it, anyone or anything. So it means like if we have another class file that it does have access to this class file. Because it's public, it's made available to everything. And now I'm going to get on with some coding as well because we already know what class means. So on the next line we are going to write our first little bit of code, which is first of all public static void main string followed by 2 square brackets with nothing inside of those, and then args after that with a closed up bracket and a squiggly bracket to open. So we've started off with this. We can save that just quickly. We have the public again, which declares that it is available to anything else that it needs. We have static, which means that you can run this method without creating an instance of main. Now this will make sense more later on. It just basically means that you can run this without creating main, which is the name of the next part basically. It'll make more sense later. It's basically, this is the name of the method that we're using. So then we have void as well also, which means that this method doesn't return any value, and that will also make some more sense later on, I guess. So what we can do now is we can move on to the next part, which is our actual string of code which will trigger something basically, or make what we need happen. So it's what we want our class file to do. So we have system.out.print ln, so that's not an I, that's an L, and then followed by a bracket with a message inside of our speech marks inside here. So traditionally people like to call theirs hello world. I'm just going to call mine goodbye world, like so. And that is what text will be displayed in our console. So we have to follow that by a semicolon because it is a Java language, and we do have to follow everything by a semicolon that finishes it off just before a squiggly bracket. You'll understand what I mean when you get into the swing of coding, but for now, just remember, put a semicolon after you've done anything inside a squiggly bracket, once you're finishing something off, basically. So there's a few things I want to explain again. There's system, which is a predefined class in Java that provides us with some useful methods and variables. So in the Java development kit, you do have a few things which just help us out, like, basically, when we're coding. One of them is system. And then we also have out, which is a static variable within system that represents the output of your program. Then we also have print ln, which basically means print line. It's not print in, do remember that. So it's print line, and that's a method that can be used to print out a line. So basically this is going to allow us to just print out the basic text, goodbye world. So that's all there is to it, really. That's our first bit of code made, and we can check that this works by clicking this play button up here. If we click run, it should show up in our console down here, just goodbye world by itself. So there is nothing else showing up down there, no errors or anything like that, which means that it is working properly and how we want it to. So that's all that there is to this video, guys. Next video we will be looking a bit more in depth into variables. We'll also be looking into types a little bit and looking at how we can manipulate this text a little bit more, maybe add some numbers to it and stuff like that. So look forward to the next episode, guys. Subscribe, like and comment, and I'll see you next time.